So how do we do it? Well, right now, here in New Brunswick, we have a large host of concerned citizens. We're inclusive, we're separating the issue from politics, and quite frankly, we make very strange bedfellows. You know, we have business leaders that are part of the coalition. Not the business leaders from the 41 interests that are going to get the huge benefit, but small business leaders. Business leaders that have a huge interest and employ anywhere from 15 to 125 New Brunswickers at their workplace. You know, it's very difficult in New Brunswick for us to think to be in partnership with groups that we're not familiar with. But the fact of the matter is maintaining the vision that we need everybody who's opposed to this to be on board. There are two principles for being part of the coalition. Number one, you have to be against the sale. But number two, you have to respect other coalition partners or other concerned citizens. The fact of the matter is that table that I showed you that had All Word on it and the Green Party and the NDP and labor groups and the Conservation Council and seniors, the fact of the matter is if we checked on their motivation for being in that room, it would be all over the map. But the fact is, we all respect each other for the fact that it's a single issue. And right now we're cooperating and NB-Powers is out. But imagine what our community is going to look like after this campaign, after this social movement, after the pushback date. You know, we're going to have a better mutual understanding of one another in this province. We're building communities. People are working together that wouldn't even have thought of talking to one another before. What's really amazing to me is that people talk about the 7 degrees of separation. This is a province with 750 or 60,000 people, but yet we don't even know who our neighbors are. I had people come to me and say, well, what do I do at a town hall meeting? You know, what a sad testimony for democracy in this province when people don't know how to behave at a town hall meeting because we don't do them. We don't have those robust debates. We're finding out that we have a lot of shared values with people that we don't even know. You know, when you consider that the city of, or the province of New Brunswick is the size of the city of Calgary. And NB-Power, after the pushback date, remains a New Brunswick publicly owned utility. Coalition partners, what we ask people is to do what you do best. We're not asking people to come out of their skin and try and become a rocket scientist. You know, we have people who can do the analysis. You know, but what we need are people to come to rallies, come to town hall meetings, to talk to their politicians, to knock on their doors, to put a sign up in their car, to come to rallies. Because it's going to be that sheer pressure that's going to change those people who are entrusted with making decisions on our behalf. So do what you do best. Do it with integrity, respect. You know, it's very difficult as emotions get high. Very difficult as the passion starts to overrun. But the fact of the matter is, we know that there are many people, smaller than our numbers, that are just looking for our cracks. We're seeing their cracks, but seeing what our cracks are. And they're going to prey on that. You know, we have that Facebook group. There are 4 administrators who work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, with the purpose of ensuring that, you know, we don't get silly with our comments in this province, because we haven't really had the opportunity to work so closely and so intimately and so passionately on an issue before as we have with the issue that's been presented to us. And we're asking people to stay on message, avoid the distractions. You know, this isn't about the election on September 27th. The fact of the matter is, if we don't stop this deal, then we won't have any options after September 27th. You know, it won't make a hill of beans of difference. You know, it'll be trying to close the barn door after the horses have gotten away. A very influential person in social justice circles, Howard Zinn, who just happened to pass away at the end of January, he said this 2 weeks before his death. If there's going to be change, real change will have to work its way from the bottom up, from the people themselves. That's how change happens. When you consider the anatomy of this deal, it's not from the bottom up. It's not even from our elected officials. When you look behind the deal as to who architected the deal, Mr. McKenna, the Deputy Minister of Finance, the Irvings, and Doug Tyler. All unelected people. Unelected people. And they're making decisions and have put this forward. And you know, the people have to take it back. Because if there's going to be real change, it has to come from the bottom up. The Coalition of New Brunswick, there's a number of activities. And I won't go through the full list, but they're under public relations. And there's an ad that was put out just before Christmas that introduced Hill and Knowlton to New Brunswickers. Hill and Knowlton is a Washington, D.C. public relations firm. And the Premier of the province went to Hill and Knowlton to use our money to sell this deal back to us. Hill and Knowlton, on their client list includes the Chinese government after Tiananmen Square. I just read an article not too long ago that someone said that they had met a young person from China and they had no idea about Tiananmen Square. Good work, Hill and Knowlton. Hill and Knowlton was hired by the Bush regime, W's regime, to justify the war in Iraq. Hill and Bush was hired by Enron, you know, the accounting scandal in the States 6 years ago, to turn that around. And now our province, our government, with our money, has hired Hill and Knowlton. Just to make this story smell a little worse, the VP for Hill and Knowlton in Canada happens to be a fellow by the name of Steve McKinnon. Steve McKinnon is the former executive assistant of Frank McKenna. The new VP of Hill and Knowlton in Montreal, assigned or appointed just before Christmas, comes out of Jean Charest's office. Legal challenges. Isn't it a sad day in New Brunswick when we have to sue our government for information? We have a matter of right to information applications that will be going to court this week on referrals because the ministers, the Premier, Minister Keir, Minister Byrne, Minister Lamrock were asked for information regarding the sale, the background details. Nothing has come but a letter saying you're not getting anything. They said it in nicer words than that, but it was empty. So we also know there's federal court challenges. You know, the Aboriginal community. There's a host of constitutional issues with respect to ownership. I have learned that it's easier to sell a utility to a private firm than it is to sell it to another sovereign state, because it triggers a host of constitutional issues. Public education. You know, when you see people out on the sidewalk saying NB-Power-Not-For-Sale, honk, you know, we've asked people, do what you can do, and people can do that. And some people, all they can do is honk, or wave, or give the thumbs up. That's great. People are doing what it is that they can do. And the message, I believe, is getting through to some people. Just ask Mr. Jameson. With respect to political lobbying, there is a number of groups in the coalition that are involved in political lobbying. There's one, Put NB People First. There's, for your signature today, tonight, there's petitions here, NB First. They have, through the leadership of Bethany Thorne Dystra, have, since the middle of November, every Monday, targeted MLA offices. I said it's non-partisan, but I also said it needs and requires a political solution.